All right, so we're going to begin our exploration of Christianity. Um, First of all, there are about 2.1 billion Christians in the world. Again, the caveat about numbers and religion, it's easy to talk about how many native English speakers there are in the world or how many Caucasians, but religion, it's difficult to define who's in a religion or not. But best guess, about 2.1 billion people. That makes Christianity the biggest religion. There are about 1.5 billion Muslims. Christianity and Muslims together are slightly over half of all humanity. And that's another reason why Judaism is so important despite its small size. Christians are, it's the most diverse, arguably, religion. It's incredible diversity is what's allowed it to be so big. And the symbol over here, by the way, is the Chi Rho. I had a teacher once who said you can't take Christ out of Christmas, you shouldn't write Xmas. But in fact, this symbol is the oldest symbol of Christ and Christians and Christianity. It's the first two letters, Chi and Rho, of the Greek word Christos, or Christ. There are big reasons for the importance of Christianity. One, these huge numbers. 2.1 billion, and really it's the dominant religion on every continent except Asia. There are more, it's close in Africa, but there are more Christians than Muslims. But even in Asia, there are officially at least 350 million or so Christians. Where are they? Mostly in China. They're officially about 100 million. There could be as many as 200 million, however, Christians in China. It's growing quickly in China. And in South Korea, South Korea is about 10 to 20% Christian. Big numbers. Number two, it is very ancient, obviously. It's present still largely in the form in which it emerged 2,000 years ago. It is incredibly complex, both in its internal developments and in the cultural influences both influencing culture and being influenced by the cultures in which it has flourished. Most adherents are ignorant, really, of just how complex Christianity is. It is diverse. There are three major families with major subdivisions, but also many lifestyles. There are hermits in Christianity and communes. There are intellectual Christians and ignorant Christians, and traditions that honor both those. There are poor and rich Christians and traditions that honor both those. Incredibly diverse. And finally, the dating system that we use. Most of the world operates on a dating system to which Jesus is absolutely central. Christianity is both distinctive and paradoxical. It bears a strong family resemblance to Judaism and Islam, its sister religions. All of these religions are exoteric. That means open and public pleasing of God by obeying His commandments. Transparent, everything is clear, as opposed to esoteric, which means secret knowledge only and rituals only for the initiated. These words will become very useful soon. But they're exoteric. All of these religions have a mystical branch, mysticism, Kabbalah for Judaism, Sufism for Islam, and a very complex Christian mystical tradition from Gnosticism, which we'll talk about soon, to Quakers, modern Quakers who practice what really is essentially a meditation. So Christianity is distinctive, however, because of Jesus Christ's divinity. All these religions are monotheistic, but Islam and Judaism have a much harder monotheism. Christian monotheism is complex, and that is a problem for Jews and Muslims. Christianity is paradoxical because of, there are a lot of paradoxes. The gap between Jesus Christ's life and subsequent Christian claims. He was an itinerant preacher who never traveled more than a few miles from his home. Ministry lasted a few years, and he was executed as a criminal. And yet, he is everything in Christian thinking and the founder of this giant religion. It is also paradoxical in the gap between Christians' claims and the way they've lived. No other religion gives more value to the idea of unity, yet is so divided. No other religion gives so much value to peace, yet has often been so warlike. No other religion values holiness, but often exemplifies corruption in many forms. Christianity is sort of set up, unfortunately, to be hypocritical. We'll talk about that, but it is full of paradoxes. Now, Christianity began in the first century as a sect of Judaism when Augustus Caesar ruled Rome. Some knowledge of both Judaism and the Roman Empire will help understanding of how the religion emerged the way it did. The Mediterranean Sea was a Roman lake. You can see from this map why. Much of the Roman world shared a common language and intellectual culture, combining Greco-Roman philosophy and religion. When Christian missionaries began to spread the gospel, they did so within the matrix of the Roman Empire. In addition to native languages, government and business leaders of the Roman world spoke Greek. Even upper-class Romans, it was considered sort of the classy language, and so Greek was sort of a unifying factor. The world of first century Rome was politically stable. Romans were sometimes cruel, but established a relative peace, the Pax Romana. There were no major international wars in this period. It is important to understand that this world, this first century Roman world, had no major religious commitment. Belief in the Greek and Roman pantheons had largely ceased among the upper elite. People were therefore spiritually hungry. Some sought out astrology. Others turned to new cults that formed on the basis of Eastern religions. These were the so-called mystery religions. One of them is Mithraism, developed from Persian thought. It became very popular in the reign of Nero and was adopted by the Roman military. And so went wherever the Roman military did. There are temples to Mithras in southern Scotland. The cult of Isis and Osiris spread out from Egypt, was particularly popular with upper-class Roman women. The cult of Dionysius, the god of wine, from Greece was popular. All of these religions shared similar ideas. One, life after death in some form, a concern with the afterlife. Two, they were esoteric. They had secret rituals for the initiated only. You had to be invited by people who knew you to join this religion. Many had communion meals and baptisms that helped and were linked somehow to the search for eternal life. Baptism is not exclusively a Christian thing. Being immersed and brought back out of water obviously symbolizes rebirth. And four, most of these religions accepted people regardless of race or social status. Yes, you had to be invited, but the people to whom that invitation was extended really didn't matter in terms of race or social status. This is important because of how racially diverse and stratified Roman culture was. Slaves were open to this religion. So these all of these factors, except perhaps the esoteric factor, can be found in Christianity, because this is the world into which Christianity is born. Another religious aspect of the first century world in Judaism and other religions was the expectation that the world was nearing its end, or at least a climactic moment. And so this was the world into which Jesus of Nazareth stepped.